to keep the pregnancy. Oh, girl. Looking for a child is not enough to keep such pregnancy. Me as a man, the presence of that child, if kept, will always remind me of how he came into the family, which I will not be comfortable with throughout my lifetime. My name is Prince. All right, Prince, thank you. 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
You're welcome.
Yeah, there's one thing about life.
You know we can start with your name, yeah?
My name is Henry.
Henry, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. See, if you are not in the shoe, like in my local dialect, we say, when you say if it is you, you will not do anything. It's better if either they born the baby and take to motherless baby, or they terminate that child, because we are not talking about today. What tomorrow will bring is what we are talking. Some people are saying they use nobody knows tomorrow. You do something wrong. For me, I would tell them to get rid of that baby, or better still deliver that baby, take to motherless baby. Okay. That is my own suggestion, because of the man whom you said from the story. You said this man is okay from medical terms, right?
They both are.
And yes, and the lady is also okay. Why don't you think that the man one day will say, okay, how come I am okay, you're okay, and now you decide to conceive from an armed robber and mine have not been kept? Why? We think every day. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much. Like he said, lots of thoughts will go through the head of these people. But like I said, they already have a solution was suggested, though, to them, even if the woman isn't comfortable with that solution, though. But let me just say, I think majority of people that have called in are of the opinion that the child should be kept, compared to those that have called in that the child shouldn't be kept. And it's a beautiful thing to see people, especially ladies, saying, let's keep this child. Abortion shouldn't be an option. And it could just be God blessing us in disguise. And I really hope and pray that as much as we are all in solidarity with the fact that this child should be kept, when you see your friend or your sister going through such a thing, or even if it's not a similar incident, maybe she got pregnant by her boyfriend, and they're not married, I hope you would also be able to advise your sister or your friend to keep the child and remind them that abortion is not an option. Meanwhile, here is the family's decision. Like I said, the wife is not comfortable with this decision, but the husband is of the idea that the child should be kept. And the mother of the woman is willing to take the child as a grandchild and train the child, even if her daughter is saying no. So the husband says, let's keep the child. The wife says, hell no. But the mother of the wife is saying, if the daughter doesn't want the child, all she needs is give birth to the child, and the mother will take care of the child herself as her own, even if it's from the daughter. That's the situation of things currently with that family. Thank you so much for doing Moments of Truth with me. Have a pleasant day, and please stay tuned to Today 95.1 FM. My name is Buchi Rafwa. I got the message from the lady that sent in. Thank you so much for sending in the message. I got your message. Thank you all for being here. The world news comes up next. To stay tuned.
Whether it's happening in Port Harcourt, South or around the world, we've got you covered. On air, online, delivering balanced news and unbiased analysis. Today, 95.1 FM.
This is Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. News.
Good afternoon. This is the World News in your premium talk radio. Today, 95.1 FM Port Harcourt. I am Buchi Rafua with the headlines. 26 COVID-19 patients recover in River State. Federal government grounds multi-million dollars private jets of former Minister of Petroleum Resources Dan Etete in Canada. People's Democratic Party PDP criticizes President Muhammadu Buhari over increasing violence in parts of Nigeria. And on foreign more U.S. cities witness peaceful anti-racism protests. Now the details. 26 patients have been discharged from River State's COVID-19 isolation centers. The figure represents the highest number of recoveries in a single day in the state since the index case was reported in March. With the latest figure, the number of discharged COVID-19 patients in the state now stands at 130. However, 19 patients have lost their lives so far in the state. With a report of 24 new infections reported in the state last night, the number of active cases in the state currently stands at 186. The River State Police Command has advised members of the public against retaining bank alerts on their mobile phone. Spokesman of Command, DSP Nnamdi Omoni, gave the advice on the backdrop of the increase in cases of phone theft in Port Harcourt. DSP Omoni, who said the command has been inundated with reports of phone theft, said it is important for mobile phone users to always delete their account balance alert to avoid being under duress by hoodlums.
So that chief was kidnapped, and they opened his phone and checked and got about 6 million naira from transfer 6 million naira from his phone. So it's not out of, that's what they've been doing. So that is why people should be careful enough not even when you have any banking transaction. You should be able to delete alerts, or even debit. So always delete it as quickly as possible. So that even when they check your phone, they will not, because it attacks them. When they check your phone and they see a credit alert or debit alert, they will know what is left in your account, and they can capitalize on that and force you to either do the transfer yourself or they do it themselves.
Authorities of Audo West Local Government Council has denied receiving any letter of complaints about incessant attacks by hoodlums from the people of Owube community in the area. Audo West Council Chairman Hope Ikiriko made the denial when he led other council officials and security operatives to Owube community to ascertain the true situation. Ikiriko, who promised to restore peace in Owube, appealed to the people to always report cases of violence and insecurity to the authorities.
We're here on a fact-finding mission, because when you begin to complain or protest, and we are totally unaware of the reason for the protest, it calls for concern. Most of the things they alleged, and then the letters they said they wrote, were not to unknown, though I had to mobilize all the security chiefs in the area, come down to the community so we can hear from them firsthand. And we have been able to ascertain a few things, that the protest is real, that their challenges are real, and the experiences started since 2016. And from what I gathered here, no death was recorded from that period when I came into office. But they have been able to make a point here that they have protested to government. The reality on ground here is that the Audo West is peaceful, and it will always occur. When it occurs, what you assess a proactive government, a responsible government, is how responsive they are to situations like this. I've said it that we have zero tolerance for insecurity, and we must nip this in the bud.
Some indigents of Owube who spoke with our correspondent Uchendu Ejowo complained that since 2015, there has been unrest in the community as a result of court-related activities, which they said have denied them access to their farmland. The respondents, including Vivian Nwokoka, Mercy Peter, and Endurance Moses, who called on security agencies to be proactive and respond to distress calls on time.
This thing started from 2016. We have been running from one place to another. Some days we sleep in the bush. But the thing happened, they killed people, they raped even women. We want them to assist us, that is for them to make peace reign in this community. Have peace. We are not sleeping fine in the room. We are not going to bush. They have not stopped us not to enter bush and do farm. We are staying at home.
A nearby bush here, up till now as I speak, they are still there. That is their camp. And the closest place for them is Obe community, where they can go in the night, go at any time. And they also have informant here in the community that the moment they see anybody coming in, they begin to call them.
Obe community has been in the news following protests by women of the community calling on Governor Nyesom Wike to come to their aid, a protest the River State Police Command denied ever held. The management of Ignatius Ajuri University of Education says it has expelled some students of the institution for court-related activities and other offences. The university management in a statement disclosed that it took the decision to serve as deterrent to others. Those affected are Wiche Thengod, Chine Miriam of the Department of Political Science and Success Humphrey Chugomeru of the Department of Political Science for forceful initiation of a student into the Vikings fraternity. Felix Ikenna Madi, also of the Department of Political Science, was given 1 year restitution for publicly denouncing cultism twice. Ejoko Louis Emmanuel of the Department of Computer Science was also expelled by Senate for a court attack which led to a student sustaining gunshot wounds. Social Studies was expelled for dubbing unsuspecting postgraduate students of their school fees. Wobodia Favor Nenda of the Department of Physics and Unjoko Evans of the Department of Economics were also expelled from the university for impersonating during the examinations. The management of Ignatius Ajuri University of Education said the decision was taken by Senate after the presentation of reports by the Student Ethics and Disciplinary Committee to members of Senate who deliberated on the issues raised. The federal government has distributed maize seeds to farmers in the South to encourage farmers in the regions and in a bid to diversify the economy through the Anchor Borrower Scheme. Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele, while handing over maize grains, farming tools and loan facilities to farmers at Odagwa, a Che local government area of Rivers State, said the federal government is keen on encouraging farmers in the country. Represented by CBN's head of the Development and Finance Office, Augustina Osuya, the CBN governor said the expectations is for the farmers to take planting and cultivation serious so they can pay back the loan.
Expect the farmers in return bags of maize. We expect the farmers to take the cultivation so that all the inputs provided to them will be properly utilized to boost their bumper harvest. At the end of the cultivation, we will see the harvest, and this maize will be offtake by the offtaker who will buy the maize from them and pay central bank back.
Speaking earlier, South coordinator of Maize Association of Nigeria, Godwin Amadi, said the Niger Delta was not known for maize farming, but many farmers in the region have keyed in to the Anchor Borrower Scheme because of CBN support.
Man achievement under Buhari's administration. From 2018 to date, membership has increased from 1.2 million members to 5 million members. Maize production has increased from 2015 to date from 28,000 farmers to 20,000. Empower more than 100,000 and off-farming employment through Anchor Borrowers program in 2018 wet season. Enhance mechanization process. As you can see here, we are doing pure mechanization. Enhance capacity building in agronomic practices. Reduce fall armyworm.
Farmers in an interview with our correspondents thanked the federal government for the loan and promised to cultivate more maize and pay back the loan. Reports say the federal government has tracked down and grounded the luxury private jets purchased by its former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Danny Tete, with some of the alleged proceeds of the notorious $1.3 billion Malibu OPL 245 oil deal. Asset recovery lawyers contacted by the federal government grounded the Bombardier 6,000 jet with tail number MYNA after it touched down at Montreal Trudeau International Airport in Canada at the end of last month, May. The jet had just flown from Dubai via Shannon Airport in the west of Ireland. It was guided that George in Quebec, Canada, is understood to have granted a seizure order for the aircraft in the early hours of Saturday morning. Former Minister Dane Tete is alleged to have paid a total of $57 for the jet in 2011, which is said to be part of an epic spending spree Tete is said to have embarked on after allegedly receiving over $800 million from the OPL 245 deal. Dane Tete, who was Nigeria's oil minister in the last weeks of the late Sani Abacha regime in 1998, allegedly awarded the prospecting rights to the huge OPL 245 block to a company he secretly controlled, Malibu Oil and Gas. The People's Democratic Party PDP has claimed that the central control system of President Muhammadu Buhari's government has collapsed. The PDP stated this in reaction to the increasing armed robbery and kidnapping activities in Kaduna and Kogi State. National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Kola Olubode, in a statement berated the president over his alleged inability to take decisive steps in curbing the issue of insecurity in the country. The main opposition party lamented that Nigeria had become a minefield for bandits, insurgents, kidnappers, for marauders. Recall that some armed headsmen had a few days ago invaded Tudu village in Doka, Kufana district of Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State, killing 9 persons while many houses were destroyed by fire. Similarly, about 23 persons were killed during a robbery incident that occurred on Thursday at a commercial bank in Isandu area of Kogi State. Less than 2 days after President Muhammadu Buhari announced the nomination of the former Finance Minister Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as Nigeria's candidate to be the Director General of the World Trade Organization, the Egyptian government has filed objections to her candidature. Despite that, the July 8, 2020 deadline for the closure of nominations for the election is more than a month away, the Egyptian government sent a letter to the Ministerial Committee on Candidatures for the election to reject Okonjo-Iweala's nomination. In informing Okonjo-Iweala's nomination, confirming her nomination, President Buhari said Nigeria was replacing a previous Nigerian nominee for the post, of Frederick Aga, who was being withdrawn. But the Egyptian government, in its communication to the permanent mission of the WTO member states of the Ministerial Committee on Candidatures, said the decision to withdraw Aga's candidature meant Nigeria forfeited its chance to participate in the race. In the memo, Egypt said as far as it was concerned, 3 candidates representing Benin Republic, Egypt and Nigeria had already obtained the endorsement of the Executive Council to contest the position of the WTO Director General via its decision. Okonjo-Iweala has a global stature as a former managing director in charge of operations of the World Bank, finance expert, economist, and international development professional with over 30 years experience. You are listening to the World News on Today95.1 FM, Voice of the People. After the break, more news, foreign and sports stories. So stay tuned.
Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today, 95.1 FM.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM. 95.1 FM. Voice of the People.
And we're back.
Welcome back and thanks for joining us. You're still on to the World News and Today 95.1 FM. The Lagos State government has said it will run out of bed space at isolation centers if COVID-19 cases keep increasing. Commissioner for Health Professor Akin Abayomi stated this while briefing newsmen in Lagos. Abayomi said in another 2 or 3 weeks, even though Lagos keeps opening new isolation centers all the time, the state is going to run out of beds if the rate of positive cases continues to increase. Lagos currently has the highest number of COVID-19 cases in Nigeria, with over 5,000 cases. Ogun State government has said it was adopting the federal government decision to relax curfew period amidst the coronavirus pandemic. The curfew period now falls between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. as recommended by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. Briefing newsman, the state governor Dapo Abiodun, however, said all other restrictions, guidelines, and measures taken to curb the spread of coronavirus in the state will remain in place. The governor also engaged with religious leaders. The governor also engagements with religious leaders was still ongoing over how public religious activities can resume in the state. On the foreign scene, huge peaceful rallies have taken place across the United States against racism and police brutality on the 12th day of protests sparked by the death of George Floyd. Tens of thousands of people marched in Washington, D.C., in the city's largest protest so far, but security forces blocked any approach to the White House. Crowds also demonstrated in New York, Chicago, L.A., and San Francisco. Meanwhile, people paid their respect to Floyd in North Carolina, where he was born, before a memorial service. Floyd, an unarmed black man, died in police custody in Minneapolis on 25 May. A video showed a white police officer kneeling on his neck for almost 9 minutes while he is pinned to the ground. The officer, Derek Chauvin, has been dismissed and charged with murder. 3 other officers who were at the scene have also been sacked and charged with aiding and abetting. Former Vice President Joe Biden says he had secured the delegates needed to clinch the Democratic nomination and face Donald Trump in November's U.S. presidential election. Biden said he secured the 1,991 delegates needed to win the Democratic nomination. He had been the presumptive Democratic challenger since Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders dropped out of the race in April and endorsed his one-time rival's run at the White House. Biden reached the threshold with the country rocked by protests over the death of African-American George Floyd at the hands of the police. The 77-year-old Biden, who served as deputy for 8 years to America's first black president, Barack Obama, has pledged to tackle systemic racism if elected to the White House. And in sports, former two-weight UFC champion Conor McGregor says he has retired from fighting for the 3rd time in 4 years. The Ireland boxer has a record of 22 wins and 4 defeats. His last fight in January 2020 saw him beat American fan favorite Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone in just 40 seconds in Las Vegas. He has previously announced his retirement in 2016 and 2019 before twice returning to the octagon. McGregor also tried boxing, losing to former 5-weight world champion Floyd Mayweather in August 2017. And to end the news, here is a summary of the major stories. 26 COVID-19 patients have recovered and are being discharged from the River State isolation centers. The federal government has grounded a multi-million-dollar private jet of former Minister of Petroleum Resources Danny Tete in Canada. The People's Democratic Party has criticized President Muhammadu Buhari over increasing violence in parts of Nigeria. And on the foreign scene, more U.S. cities are witnessing peaceful anti-racism protests following the death of an African-American, George Floyd, in police custody. And that was the news edited by Chinedu Iwuna. For comments and inquiries, please call 081-5341-8657 or 081-4434-3502. Or send your emails to news@todayfmlive.com. You can also